Hi, this video will be detailing the testosterone signal pathway. My name is Taj. My partner who did all the drawings in this presentation is Alice, and I'll be presenting this information to you today. So, first of all, I want to be talking about my favorite animal and how it relates to this pathway, which is the crocodile. So the crocodile, in its fetal development of its babies, has a very important use of testosterone in terms of what it does, but we'll get to that later. For now, we need to be focusing on testosterone's cell receptor. So, testosterone itself passes through the lipid bilayer through the process of simple diffusion, which means that testosterone itself is a hydrophobic ligand. And because it's a hydrophobic ligand, its receptor needs to be an intracellular receptor. In this case, androgen, which is a receptor that is known for facilitating sexual fitness and growth within both male and female organisms. So, first of all, we need to go through and understand how this happens. The ligand then binds to its intracellular receptor, which in this case is androgen and testosterone, vice versa. And after it happens, it elicits the cell's response, which is to then take the protein and the ligand and go into the nucleus of the cell. After this happens, the genes will be altered from the protein, turning on and off certain parts of the DNA, which changes the gene expression. And in this case, as we all know, DNA facilitates the use and making of proteins. It changed what proteins get made in the cell. In the case of crocodiles, it changes and facilitates the growth of male reproductive organs, which is very important. Very important. So, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using this type of receptor? Well, first of all, the advantages of this receptor, being intracellular, is that it's a very long-lasting response, which is important because the type of response we want from this receptor is a growth response. So important examples would include something like puberty, or in this case, what we're talking about right now, fetal development of baby crocodiles. We all love that. All right. What are the disadvantages, though? Well, because it's long, it's also a very slow response. It's a process. That process takes weeks. In some cases, some intracellular receptors take months to finish their responses. So, back to our diagram, which Alice did a wonderful job of, we're going to look at the termination of what happens. The termination of the intracellular receptor occurs when the ligand stops binding to androgen. And once this happens, both of them exit the nucleus, and at this point in the response, the ligand, in this case testosterone, has been degraded to a point where it cannot bind with androgen anymore, preventing it from rebinding and re-eliciting another response, which would be bad. We don't want that. So, now we need to talk about what type of ligand testosterone is, because we've mainly just been focusing on what response it causes. Testosterone is what is known as an agonist ligand. An agonist, in terms of ligands, is a response ligand, which means that it elicits a response from the cell that's targeted. Well, that was very redundant, but bear with me here. I'm working off of no script. Now, moving on, we need to talk about what the opposite of an agonist is, which is an antagonist. An antagonist ligand is a ligand that prevents a response from occurring within the cell. An example of this, in this case, would be an anti-androgen, which prevents testosterone to binding to its receptor. Now, testosterone is also an endogenous ligand, which means it is produced from within the body. And something that is the complete opposite, in the same regard as agonist is to antagonist, is an endogenous is to exogenous. Exogenous meaning the ligand was produced outside of the body. Now, as I mentioned before, testosterone is an androgen. Androgens are responsible for sexual growth and reproductive fitness, but in this case, testosterone specifically has an important role in playing in male reproductive fitness and growth. And also, just to top all of my bases off, when an anti-androgen binds to an androgen receptor, testosterone is unable to bind to that receptor specifically, preventing it from causing a response and stopping the whole response pathway from occurring in the first place. Thank you for listening. That is all I have to say.